Hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're listening. Welcome to Flames Unfiltered, hosted by Brad Burud and Kyle Lewis. And as always, we're here to talk about some Flames hockey. So, Brad, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good, actually. It was a good weekend. And we've got a break from Flames hockey for a couple days here now. It's weird.
We really have, yeah. Yeah, lengthy one.
I was just thinking about it today while I was prepping for the show and doing some things. I'm like, it's good to be back at it on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to another game. So, all's good, I guess.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it was Friday, and it was a big win going into a bit of a break, right?
Last week. It was a 4-day week in the States, 4-day for you two, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why was it such a shit show last week? With 4 days, you'd think we'd be able to get by. And it just
I always found it worse. Cramming 5 into 4, I always found it way worse.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. They just have enough time to really, sink your teeth in anything. It just seems so chaotic, especially the industry that each of us are in. But
yeah,
anyway.
You know what I like? So I like today is like a Monday, and we're doing the show on Monday. I like Monday nights doing the show. I hate it when the Flames play Monday and they're going to screw with us again next week. I don't know. I just like routines, and Monday night seems to work a lot better.
Yeah, it does. It does. So, yeah. So actually, I wanted to tell a funny story, hockey related. You see all these NHL players with their smelling salts, right?
Yeah.
So
have you ever used one? I've never used it.
Oh yeah, I have a few times. Because a few guys that I play with use them. So somehow, some way, these things were brought out like jokingly at a party at a local restaurant, bar and grill there a few weeks ago. And one of the owners, she was introduced to smelling salts, and she wasn't really familiar with them, right? So she stuck her nose like right in the bottle.
Oh boy, yeah.
And then, of course, she brought her head up. She's like, "Whoa!" Like, eyes were all watery, and she's like, "Oh my god!" Like, I'm like, "It's not blow. Like, what are you doing? Like, you don't shove your face in there, right?" Anyway, so I bought a bottle because I find it does clear your sinuses, like when you're trying to play hockey or if you're just stuffed up.
Where do you buy that?
Usually, any sporting goods store, right?
Really?
So, although actually not all of them carry them, and a very particular place around here. But anyway. I grabbed a bottle because one of my colleagues, we were traveling together, and he's been sick, so he got one just to clear his sinuses, and I bought one to play hockey. So I'm playing later tonight, so I grabbed the bottle and opened it up, and you have to add water to activate it, right? So just before we came on to do this show, I broke the seal on the cap and popped the lid. I just went to smell it, thinking it's not activating, so put in water. Man, was I wrong. I took the top of my head clean off. Like, eyes are all watery, and like, I'm breathing air fresher than I've ever breathed in my life. It's just ridiculous. So I am primed up and good to go for this show.
That leads me to a story. Like cleaning your sinuses, you brought that up. I remember one time I was on a tour of the Jack Daniel's distillery.
Oh, that sounds like a deadly one.
Yeah, and I had a head cold. And they have these giant, like, turbines of whiskey that they're making, just like giant turbines. And the guy, like, lifts the lid to show us it. And he's like, "Yeah, you don't want to get your head too close." And I like got my head down there. I don't think I had a head cold for like 2 years after that. It took everything out. Yeah,
that's the key, eh? Who needs vaccines when you got whiskey?
Stick your head in the bottle. No, So what about the smelling salts? I got to go back to this real quick. I see on the bench they're always in packets. Like, and I know they're in bottles. I've seen bottles too. But now you've activated this bottle. Like, how long does it last you now?
A couple months.
Really?
Yeah, that's what the guys told me. This is my first bottle. So
how much is a bottle of smelling salts cup?
$22.99 Canadian, I believe.
Holy.
So probably $17-18 US. Yeah. I'll let you know. Text me tomorrow and ask me how I played
tonight.
Yeah, it actually, like, I do find they help, but it's very temporary, right? Like any kind of high, it's very temporary.
You might need this for your late night shows we have to do.
I very well could. In fact, I expect to.
All right.
It's basically a bottle of ammonia. It can't be worse for you than other drugs, right?
No,
not to say it's a drug, but it certainly behaves like one in some respects.
It does some effects, but yeah, no, it shouldn't hurt you.
So I wanted to point out as well that I voiced my displeasure on X last week when Dustin Wolf was so close to getting his first NHL shutout against the Kings.
Oh yeah, I was
so upset.
On the top of my list.
Yeah, and then as soon as we don't even talk, I swear to God, we don't rehearse. We don't talk prior to this hardly at all.
I'm
When he
looking at
got
a
it on Friday, oh, I was so goddamn happy.
Why are you such a
so happy.
shutout guy, aren't you? Like, I remember you used
I
to be
love
like,
shutouts,
you get
man.
so mad at me. I'd text you something about Markstrom. He's getting, gonna have a shutout, and you're like, shut the hell up.
Well, it's a superstition. They even do it in the video games. It's like, oh, like they have like Cheryl Pounder commenting, like, oh, he's trying to protect the goose. Like, look, you don't talk about it. Which is stupid because I'm the guy who I intentionally walk underneath ladders. Okay, I'm not a superstitious person, but the shadow thing drives me crazy.
I'm having a shitty day. I'll walk underneath a ladder. Maybe it changes it, right? I don't know.
That's a very positive way of looking at it. I like that.
Reverse shittiness.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about this almost shutout first. We'll get to the shutout second, but I want to talk about the almost shutout first. So we lose 3-1 to LA in a game that I honestly thought was probably our best effort of the year. Am I wrong?
Maybe we won. You said we lose. We won.
Yeah. Did I say we lost? Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, we win 3-1. And I thought it was probably our best outing of the year. Outside maybe their original Edmonton game, the first one. I don't know. This was up there, right? Backlund scores and Huberto gets a nice one. Rooney scores. Well, then it comes down to this 3 minutes to go, and Wolf, is this a save or not a save? Is this a goal or not a goal? After I watched the replay, albeit I will admit that it was not really conclusive. To me, it looked logically like it probably was in.
Yeah.
Agree with me?
Yeah, I mean, the call on the ice stands if it's not conclusive, which was the only hang-up on it. It was still a hell of an effort on his part, but
and that's the way I'm looking at it. So he doesn't get the shutout, and we win 3-1. But I don't give a crap. That is a hell of a save.
If it had been a literal save, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it didn't go in the back of them. That's the way I'm looking at it here.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
I mean, holy cow, this is unreal. And but then I will throw on my 2 cents. I think it's a goal, but then I also think the goal in 04 was a goal, and this is no different.
And the goal in 15 by Sam Bennett. And
the
goal by Blake Coleman in 22. We have a history of this. And I was actually wondering that, like, do we as a fan base of the Calgary Flames, are we?
The kick-in goal on Coleman was almost the most egregious thing I've ever seen.
Man, we love that word on this show. Egregious. Yeah, right. Is it just us, or does every fan base have this many goals that don't count?
I don't know. See, we only know our fan base. The intricacies of it, I guess we would only know for our fan base, but I don't hear other fan bases complaining. God, does that make us like Vancouver? No.
Oh, don't say things like that. Now, that said, I would almost argue that Dustin Wolf's effort against LA was actually better than the one that followed it on Friday.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
He was brilliant in both games.
It was the hockey gods, right? It's the hockey gods.
Speaking of superstition.
I believe in them. I do. That's why so I'll tell you this story. I coach a 10 and under girls hockey team. My daughter's on it. And at the end of the first practice, we just for fun, I let the girls practice their celebrations. Just you gotta make it fun for them. And so my daughter says to me on Saturday night, she says, if I score a goal, because she hasn't scored yet, she's really young, she just started. She says, if I score a goal, can I do a celly? And I said, no. I said, we just raise our stick and just be happy we scored. Yesterday afternoon, we have a game. She gets a pass right in the slot. My daughter's smaller. She's one of the smallest girls out there. They're playing an all boys team. She gets a pass in the slot and just like one time buries it in the back of the net and just pays the price. This kid just ran her over. And She jumped right up when she figured out it went in the net. She jumped right up and just took off skating towards the bench cheering. And I was like, I was happy for her, obviously, but it's just like, it's just like whatever kicks into your mind, like we're going to, she didn't celebrate crazy because I'm like, the hockey gods will get you back for that. But she was sure happy to score. So we don't celebrate wildly.
Yeah. Subtlety, I'm a fan of that, but she got decked, I can
She
get
did. She
behind
paid the
more of it.
price big time. It was a good goal.
Well, I'm glad she celebrated then. Shove it down the throats even more.
Yeah.
Man.
What else? Let's talk about the Vancouver outing the next night, though. Get the negative out of the way. Let's get the negative out of the way. This was a shitty performance, I thought.
Yeah, I was all excited when we had the 1-0 lead after the first, and then that was all she wrote.
I didn't like really anything of it. I mean, okay, and there was a lot of talk after the game about schedule the loss.
Oh,
Okay,
I hate that.
I hate it too, but I mean,
get it. I hate it.
They're coming off back-to-backs. Vancouver hadn't played for like 2 or 3 days, I believe. It was the 7th game in 12 days. 5th for the Canucks. Tons of travel. I know they went 3 time zones, I believe, in 4 days. Lots of overtime games. I know fatigue was there. It was very evident. I just think in this game of points we play, it's too hard to schedule losses, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I again, I understand it, obviously, but it's just it's frustrating. Back-to-backs are always going to be a part of hockey, and then just not like an excuse, right? Oh, it's a scheduled loss. Like, and it's hard, man, playing, especially at that level 2 nights in a row, despite how well conditioned these guys are. But it looked like it wasn't going to be that way. After the first, I thought, oh, they might sneak this one out, and then they just ran out of gas, quite frankly.
It's collapsed all over the place. It looked horrible.
I remember that happened when I was in Washington, actually. The Flames had beat Columbus the night before 3-0. And then we went into Washington, D.C. the next day, and I remember Elias Lindholm had a goal in the first. We might have even been up 2-0. We ended up losing.
It was a Saturday afternoon game, wasn't it?
Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
I remember watching it.
Yeah.
I hate
it's very upsetting. Oh, man, nobody hates him as much as you.
Oh, no, I know.
Nobody.
I know. Nashville's in Calgary on Friday night. Didn't get to watch this game, but I watched it. I watched it non-live, which is never the same. Never the same.
No, definitely not.
But a good game. And I'm going to let you take the stage because I want you to talk about Dustin Wolf and what we're getting with this goalie this year because I was not critical of him, but skeptical because I always worry. It's like when expectations go up so high, we don't know how it's going to translate. I don't even think it's fair to like make these glorious expectations based off previous history without like giving the guy a chance here. And we're giving him a chance in the NHL, and I'd like to see us give him even more leash now. But this guy's proven his worth for sure.
Well, you kind of get both ends of it, right? So you can look at it as the guys won at every level, emphatically won. Another word we love on here. We love all the E's, emphatically, egregious, etc. Didn't realize that one. But WHL goaltender of the year twice, I believe. AHL goaltender of the year at least once, maybe twice as well. Okay. But then the other side is like, well, he's really small, which is why he went so ridiculously, stupidly late in the draft, which I also find funny because goaltenders, when they get drafted high, they're such a wild card. Like, remember Rick DiPietro? Like, just as one example, it's a really dangerous place to draft a goaltender too high.
Do you think though? Like, I look at goaltenders completely different, and I'm always, if I was a general manager, I always be very hesitant to draft a goalie high. I feel like there's a higher failure rate in goaltenders. Maybe it's just because there's less of them, so we notice it more. But it seems to me, and especially following junior hockey and stuff, and watching collegiate goalies in the States, it's harder to predict the trajectory, the time frame, and if they're going to have that consistency level to make them an NHL star. And that's really what it boils down to. There isn't a goalie that doesn't make the NHL that doesn't have a few flash in the pan games, but you get to Connor Hellebuck status, UC Sorrow status by developing a track record of consistency. And that's something that I think we're seeing with Dustin Wolf, and something I hope we see more of with Dustin Wolf.
Well, there's no question in my mind that we know that we will, because the fundamentals are so strong. At his age, he has amongst the best, if not the best, lateral movement I've ever seen in a professional goaltender. His lateral movement is impeccable, which does make me wonder how he'll age. because he's so reliant on his flexibility and the way his speed, his side to side speed is unbelievable.
You want me to throw in 2 cents of happiness on that though? He's a smaller body. It's less demanding on his joints than if he's a 6'4" goalie.
But look at Ben Bishop. He was 6'6", and his knees basically prematurely into his career. He was a great goaltender.
He was a great goalie and a real nice guy.
So, cool. But I don't know at this point, because it's still early in the season. He's obviously got a lot to prove. I don't know what more we need to see from this guy to know, because his fundamentals are so strong. He plays his angles very well. I get a little nervous sometimes watching him play the puck, but that's a big adjustment at the NHL level, I feel, to know when to play the puck, right?
But then I got nervous watching Markstrom play the puck at times too, and there's other good goalies that I've been nervous with that for. But the numbers don't lie. And last week I threw out a barrage of negative statistics for the Flames, felt slightly guilty of it later on in the night. But I'm going to throw out a couple good stats. Do you know his save percentage in high danger is third in the NHL at .871? It's sixth overall at .921. These are numbers that are elite numbers right now. How does this progress over the next couple of years is yet to be determined. But he's in the above 70 percentile in literally every statistical category as a goaltender is. And, right now he's 2.5, 3.921 save percentage. I mean, we're seeing some really good goaltending. And one of the things that I like when I watch Dustin Wolf is I feel real confident watching the team. And I think the team looks very confident playing in front of him.
Absolutely they do. And why wouldn't they? I mean, look how good he's been. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what more the guy can do. Like I said, he's so good at stopping the puck, and especially at tracking the puck.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he is almost always square to the shooter. He's always got the angle right. He's always at the right depth within his net. He's a real student of the game.
But when he tracks the puck and he's down low, I heard him in an interview one time say that his favorite goaltender growing up was Jonathan Quick. And I watch him play, and then I watch
32, right?
Oh, good. Kyle with the number coming out there. But I watch how he plays, and I'm not a goalie expert, and I don't think either of us claim to be that. But I like how he tracks the puck forward. He's not ever moving back or too deep in his crease, because with his size, he can't get himself into that.
Yeah.
But he's always very aggressive but smart. And I like what I see this year, and I've been super impressed. And I don't think anybody 4 months ago would have said, hey, Dan Vladar and Dustin Wolf are going to be an elite 1-2 punch in the National Hockey League. I don't know, elite's probably not a fair word to use with the amount of time we have, but they're tracking to be very elite. And that's a great sign for the future for the Flames.
No, 100%. And I don't think there's any question whatsoever that Dustin Wolf is A and possibly the front runner for the Calder Trophy.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like goalies got to do so much more, though.
He is doing so much more, though, right?
I know, but I don't know that. I hate saying this because it sounds bad, but I believe it to be true. I feel like it's him in Calgary doing this. He's going to have to play 60 games and just put up ridiculous numbers, and the Flames are going to have to make the playoffs. It sounds crazy to say that.
All of those things seem
could happen.
They're much more likely than any of us would have thought. And if our special teams were anyway halfway not awful, I'd be guaranteeing it right now. But they are awful. So let's talk about that for a minute.
The special teams, or what direction this team's going? Because I look at the standings every night, and I don't know what direction this team's going. I don't.
Well, we're above 500 hockey team that has a pretty good chance to make the playoffs right now. That's our trajectory, and unless the bottom really falls out, which it could, because we talked a bit about this too. Nazem Kadri, for example, has been much maligned lately for not playing well. Pospisil, we talked about in the last show, hitting a bit of a soft.
He's been better since we last talked, though. I will say he's been better.
Clearly, he listened.
Yeah, he listened to us, and
yeah. No, he's definitely better, but we'll see how it projects over the next 10 to 20 games as well. But yeah, these special teams are what are taking us out of, or allowing much more narrow margin for error in a lot of games. So what do we? Let's start with the penalty kill. What the hell do we do with that?
Here's the deal. Like, we've had a good penalty kill here historically for the last
while.
for the last few years that I can remember. I mean, I can't remember the last time I bitched about the penalty kill. I don't know in the 6 years I've been doing this podcast that I've bitched about the penalty kill. And you say, well, what's different now than then? Some personnel. I think Chris Tanev played a large role in that. But like structurally, I mean, do you think our penalty killers are bad penalty killers? I don't know.
I'm gonna speak to the old version of Brad that I used to know, the one that clamored to have veteran players in the roster.
Well,
because I think that's part of it. I really do.
I still do want to have. See, I think we're in a different stage right now. I do want to have veteran players. I just want to have veteran players that are part of the future, right? And that can drill us down into a crazy ass rabbit hole of like, is Kadri part of the future? I don't know. Is his contract movable? I don't know. Is Huberdeau part of the future? Probably he's going to have to be. I don't know. And that's the direction questions that I'm having with this team. Is I'm sitting here on a Monday night looking at the standings, and we're the number one wild card team with 21 points, a 9-6-3 record. And right now, if the playoffs started today, we take on Vegas. Yeah. Okay. And I look at who's out of the playoffs now that I think will be in. Colorado, probably. Outside of Colorado, nobody.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that next episode when we deep dive into like American Thanksgiving and what that means for the playoffs. But I sit and I look at this and I say, we're in the area where most fans are deathly afraid of that mucky middle. And I don't know which way this is going to go. And last week I was really down on it. And I actually since then like some of the things I've seen. And man, if we could just get that, like you said, the special teams going, where do we go? And what can happen, right?
Well, see, that's the thing, though. That's where veteran players become so important. And to me, like you think about guys, and obviously I'll mention like Trevor Lewis, Chris Tanev is a huge piece of that. As Zadorov, even and Hanifin as well. But even in years past, you talk about veteran players like under penalty kill. Like it's one of those things where like penalty killing is about survival, right? So people are blocking shots, they're clearing pucks, they're trying to win face-offs, and that's one thing we're not very good at either is face-offs. But I'm not saying the veteran players would necessarily fix the penalty kill, but I think they have a fundamental understanding of, okay, guys, like this is our job, and we haven't seen really anybody emerge in that role other than your mainstays like your Backlunds and Coleman's, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So ideally, I guess I would expect it to improve at least marginally over the course of the year. But those veteran guys, those lunch bucket type players that we've always had in those roles, I think were a big reason why the penalty kill is successful. Because penalty kill is not about skill. It's about work ethic. It's about shot blocking. It's about making sure your goaltender can see the shots coming through. So you're playing the box correctly, moving bodies from the front of the net, and they're not doing a very good job at any of those things. So, but the more concerning piece to me, because I do think penalty kill will get better, the more concerning piece is the power play.
I don't even know where to start with a power play.
Because it's not like we don't have skill, right?
Yeah, we don't. Kyle, we don't. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I don't. I look at this roster and I'm like, okay, Zari is skillful. Huberdeau, I have zero faith in. Sharon Govich hasn't shown me anything this year. Coronado is. Backlund is Backlund. And we're not, if Backlund's our power play threat, we're in big trouble, right?
Absolutely.
Coleman, if he's our power play threat, we're in big trouble. Pospisil, I don't expect him. That's not his role. Kadri needs to be better. Kuzmenko needs to be a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
And I surely hope we're not relying on Lomberg, Kirkland, and Rooney.
I think the two Ks you mentioned, Kuzmenko and Kadri, are the two biggest guys that need to, we need improvement big time from those two to have any type of effect on the power play. Plus, every time I watch it, it seems like there's a shorthanded goal against. It feels that way. I know that's not the case, but it's like
protect the plays we don't support it real well.
I don't see what this, and I asked Kent Wilson to talk about this in his next mailbag segment. Like, I don't know what the strategy is. Like, I watched that power play. I'm like, what are they trying to do along the boards? Which, where Huberdeau is typically very strong. Who's at the top of the circle, trying to pick the corners? Who's the guy in front of the net they're trying to box out? Like, I don't know what they're doing.
Usually it seems like when all else fails in a power play, you put a big guy in front, get the puck out to the point, and pray and hope you get tips and rebounds, right? But we're not even doing that.
Never have 9 years of power play. Remember that?
Yeah, well, that was our power play for like 2 years. And,
Ugh.
I mean, the way I look at the power play is I want to get it down low and create 2-on-1s out of the corner. I think it's a safer, more effective power play method, but I don't see any of that either. So, like, yeah, you're right. It's directionless. It's completely directionless.
Yeah.
And I don't even know where you start to repair that.
Well, I'm hopeful. I don't know if you saw the post-game segment with Ryan Husko after he congratulated Dustin Wolf in the shutout. He told the guys you're getting 2 days off and basically to use those 2 days responsibly, but to take 2 days off. And I'm hoping they come into the game against the Islanders with like a whole lot of piss and vinegar and some new creativity. And, they've been in some tough games. They've been in some tight games that maybe they didn't deserve to be in too, right?
I agree. And the schedule's been a grind lately. But like,
yeah, to come out of the schedule we've had so far with this record is pretty damn good. I don't think too many teams would trade for a different record than what we have.
No, I would agree, and I'm being positive today.
I appreciate that. I've had a long day, so one of us had to be.
I'm trying, man. Last week I got done. I listened to the show after we got done when I was editing. I was like, holy shit. I had a lot of negative things with it.
We're realists. We can be a little bit nihilistic, but we're also realistic,
I am. I look at our statistics, and yeah, the statistics didn't lie. Do I have faith that the penalty kill will get better? Yeah, I do. I think the penalty kill will get better. But I don't have a lot of faith that the power play will. I just don't. We need, what we're lacking, and we say it every show, and we've said it every show for 2 years here. We need a young superstar center. And you know what? You can't go buy young superstar centers.
The other thing that could happen, and you just made me think of this, so thank you for that, and I expect it to happen, is Connor Zary is going to have more puck luck. And when he starts to have more puck luck and bury some of these gorgeous chances that he's creating by sheer force of will and talent, that alone, again, could elevate that power play by a couple points.
So we got our wish. He played center against Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's fair to judge that night. I thought he was okay. I think he's good. I don't know. I mean, it's one game. Like, his sample size is ridiculous. I hope they give him a run of 10 games at least.
Oh, I think they will.
I think we know we got from Pospisil, and he's better on the wing. And I sure as hell hope we figured out Chiringovich is better on the wing.
Absolutely. There's no question about that.
I think Zary was drafted as a center. We touted him as a center. Now we need to use him as a center.
Well, and you want to do it now before, he's older and used to playing the wing, because center does carry a lot more responsibility, as I've often said. And, at his age, this is the time to really let him sink his teeth into that role and see what he does with it. And I thought the other returns were good. I wasn't blown away, although he's still creating the same magic at center as he did on the wing, and that's a really good indication, a really, really good indication.
Yeah.
But the puck's going to start going in eventually.
I don't want to stymie his success that he's having.
He's a confident player, and he's capable in all three zones. So I agree with what you're saying, but I think he's going to be just fine.
We're playing for the future anyways, so
we thought we were.
Best thing we can do. Well, no, I still think we are. But that being said, I feel like so much of this fan base is either tank or playoffs. And I'm more like, hey, let's try to make the playoffs, but let's not deviate from the plan. And that's coming from an old school guy that loves older players, that has a belief that if you got a chance to go for it, you freaking go for it, because we didn't expect to go to the Cup Finals in 2004 either, right? So I'm holding myself back and saying, hey, let's go out and get somebody at the deadline, because I think that would be stupid. But I'm also sitting here watching the game every night going, I hope we win this game, because we're in a wild card spot, and I'd love to move up into a divisional spot, right?
Yeah, I mean, with all the prospects we have, I wouldn't completely rule it out if the team is doing well at that point, because we have, as I've often said, an embarrassment of riches. So maybe something makes sense if it's a good young player coming back who fits a current need, depending on what we have to give up. I mean, to me, it's just interesting we have all these options, because all we talked about before was, we'd have to sell Mantha, obviously before his injury, maybe sell Coleman or Backlund. And now it's like, I don't know what that conversation looks like. This team is surprisingly competitive, and I'm not going to sit here and presume to have the answers as to what way to go, but I do know that as a hockey team, your prerogative is winning. That's your objective. That's what the team has generally been doing, and it's a lot more fun this way. So I'm not a big believer in tank. I mean, they'll say, oh, you should tank the next year because this player is available. Well, as we've often seen, and you can look up the highway.
Sabres do it, and that didn't work so well.
Yeah, but look at this belief around, you need to get a, obviously we need one, but like a franchise center, you have to draft this player. When's the last team that won a cup off the back of one player Edmonton can pull it off
Nobody.
as close as they got. Yeah.
I mean, nobody. You got to
Austin
build.
Matthews isn't dragging the Leafs past the second round. He can barely get to the second round, right?
No, you're right. You're right. It's got to be a package. It's got to be a package. And honestly, the package needs to start with a great goalie, and so far we're getting that. So we should be smiling in Calgary right now.
I don't think everybody generally is. It's just there's some pain points because it's like the things that are bad about the team are really, really bad. Again, special teams being chief amongst them. And I think the last I checked, the only player on pace to crack 50 points is Rasmus Anderson. That's not good. That reminds me when Sandis Ozolinsh led the Florida Panthers in scoring with like 52 points like 20 years ago. And it's like, man, this is bad news.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to have 4 or 5 players in the 50-point range to be not impotent offensively, especially when it comes to a playoff series, right?
You need superstars, right? You need guys.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying about Zary having to break out because, man, we need it because, if this offense gets any more impotent, we're going to need fucking Cialis. Or Viagra, take your pick.
so let's throw it into the X factor with that. And D.Johnson posted, there is no one on this Flames team that makes me get out of my seat. And I saw this and it made me take a step back because I thought, oh, you are 100% correct. And it got me thinking about Connor Zary, though. Is he a guy that is going to be that for us? Is he's taken me out of my seat a couple times lately, watching him weave in and out and not finish. But I mean, the last guy I remember taking me out of my seat in Calgary was Johnny Gaudreau, and we've had a few others along the way. But like, where do we go from here? And who is gonna take us out of our seat?
Well, probably Zary, and Coronado shot, maybe him at times. This is a I mean, they're all good, but this is a really good tweet. I don't know. Right now, I mean, when we got Kuzmenko, like one of the goals he had against St. Louis last year, I'm like, yeah, this is a really, really talented player, but
we got to I want to be out of my seat consistently, though, right? I don't want to cheer for a team that I get out of my seat once a month.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's my fear here. And I don't know. Thanks, D.Johnson. That was a good one. When I saw this, I was just like, it got me thinking, man. It got me thinking about the future too, and like, where are we going? And who is going to be the guy that brings us out of our seat? And I watch Connor Zary, and I'm like, God, I think this guy could be the guy, but is he the guy? Right?
Well, yeah. Again, he's the closest we have right now, but he's not finishing. Outside of him, as it currently stands, the next one's going to be one of those, defensemen that we have, whether it's Bristevich or Zane Parik. I mean,
yeah,
those are the guys that, they do that at every other level, right? Unless we count Dustin Wolf, but obviously we're not talking about goaltenders here, but he's brought me out of my seat many, many times. We need a skater to do that.
We do. We need, and that's not discounting the fact how important the good goalie is, but I mean, we need to get some offensive going on this team. And I think we'd probably agree the goaltending's been above average this year. I think the defense has probably been better than what we expected, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the offense is exactly what we expected, and that's pretty lethargic.
Well, and you got to hope that a couple little indicators lately might turn into really positive signs. So Daniel Miramanov, scoring a goal off a great pass from winger, be nice to see him because he's got some skill. He's a forward, naturally transition to D. Just certain guys that if Zary starts to finish and Miramanov jumps in effectively a little more often, like this team is not without talent. It lacks, as we've said repeatedly, even in this particular episode, high-end talent. But we're not that far off. It just some guys got to take their game to the next level, and maybe there is an ad somewhere along the way that'll provide some more offensive punch. But if we don't find some more offense, we're going to need, Dustin Wolf last 2 starts type performances an unsustainable amount of the time. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So last Monday night, I did not think this was going to be a topic.
Here we go.
But it is, and because it's what the fans see, right? And last Monday night, the Flames game against the Kings. Yeah, it was a Kings game, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a Kings game. Was on Prime TV.
Yep.
And my first thought was, what is this Prime stuff? Like, why are we doing this? This is stupid.
there's the old school Brad I was waiting for.
Right? I mean, it was. And then I started watching it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is 100 times better. This picture is freaking way clearer. The camera angles were amazing. There was excitement. Like it was a playoff game because they're out in the concourse during the periods, and there's some hype. They're not down in the dungy hallway of the locker room. Like, and I'm not ripping on what Rogers Sportsnet does, because let's face facts. Like, I love what they do for us and how we get to watch the Flames and the coverage we get. But I was really, really, really impressed, and I'm dying to hear what your thoughts were.
It's funny, actually. Some buddies / really good customers of mine are at the game tonight. That's the Prime game between Montreal and Edmonton. How do I put this? It was one of the best fucking hockey broadcasts I've ever watched in my life.
Okay, well then we're thinking
unbelievable.
Alike. It was good.
Well, there's a variety of reasons. So, intermission interview with Mike Vernon, bringing in a franchise legend.
Yep.
Was fantastic. They did a segment on Rasmus Anderson, so they had the past and the present of the team on full display for any Edda Market fans, for the diehard fans. Like, they hit every demographic of hockey, I felt. Like you said, having the panel in the concourse, even in an old building like the Saddledome, super cool. The warm-ups, the audio of the warm-ups, it made it feel special.
Didn't it feel like a really big game?
Yeah, they hit it. Yeah,
Monday night game against the Kings in November.
I'll put it to you this way. So I played that night, and I left the ice a little bit early. A couple different reasons. I want to catch the game. I get home, and I've already seen a Prime broadcast, and I thought it was great as well. So anyway, I get home to watch it, and what will often happen is if I don't shower at the rink, I go take a shower at home. Like, if it's a few minutes left in the period or midway through, I'll hop in the shower 5 minutes and back to the game.
You didn't want to leave, did you? To go?
No, I didn't. I watched the whole game before I did anything else. It was just that good.
I know. I usually like when the period break hits, I usually quick check X, go to the bathroom, let my dog out, grab a drink, sit down, and I'll catch maybe the end of Sarge Francis or whatever, and but I'm never like, oh gosh, what did I miss? And I'm not knocking those guys. They give me NHL news every day about the Flames, and I respect the hell out of them, and I love what they do. I'm just saying that I don't know that it's their fault, because I think that if it was Kelly, Rudy, and them talking in the period break out in the concourse, I'd be just as enamored. I think it was the way the production was and how they went inside and how the warm-ups were the way they were, and the work prior to the game with these, the story on Rasmus Anderson, but just the clarity of the cameras. Like, Rodgers had to just be like, well, we need a budget for new cameras because we're getting our ass kicked.
Well, I certainly hope that's the case, and I'll tell you why. And this is one of my favorite examples to reference, the world of professional wrestling, as you know, me being a wrestling nerd.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing you can have is a monopoly or no competition. It killed the business in the early 2000s, so really the late 90s, the tail end of the 90s when WCW went under. And it's very similar in hockey. And what I often remember, I'll never forget this, and I should look it up to try and find the clip. James Duthie with TSN being absolutely despondent when TSN basically lost the bidding war for all the NHL rights and all went to Sportsnet, right? So the only thing TSN has to this day, they have World Juniors, which they can hang their hat on because everybody loves it. They have Ottawa Senators regional broadcast.
Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, Jets regional broadcast, but regional broadcast is not a national platform, right? So the hope, and there's been so many things that become so formulaic to me, like the Hockey Night in Canada with Ron McLean's 10-minute nonsensical monotonous monologue about nothing to do with hockey drives me insane. The panel structure always being the same.
I love Elliott though, and I love Bieksa. I do.
I love them too, but
I love those three guys.
But we don't have to change all the personnel. We have to change the way we present the personnel.
Yep. You're right.
That's what drives me crazy. And then they'll do things like they'll plug in Jennifer Botterill, trying to get more women involved and more ex-players, and I love all that. But the presentation of the product is still so formulaic that you're not allowing them to leverage their personalities and make it more fun. So Now Prime has brought this great alternative, and you saw it too on X. It was
Oh.
blown up. This is incredible. This is so good. But the number one comment that we saw the most as a result of that was, my God, I hope this makes Sportsnet up their game, because they have a monopoly essentially in hockey viewing.
Yeah.
And it's I'm not going to say it's terrible, but it's not exciting.
It's not terrible. But I laugh my ass off because before the Prime broadcast started, all Flames fans were searching their channels, right? And they were pissed off that this was going to be on Prime and this is going to suck.
But here's my question.
And everybody in 10 minutes, me too. In 10 minutes in, everybody was like, this is out of the world. This is so good.
Yeah, but who doesn't have Prime these days?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, in the States, for me, it's a little trickier because I have the American Prime. I don't have the Canadian Prime, but ESPN picks up the Canadian Prime games if you buy the package.
Oh, really? That's cool. At least you can see it. But I mean, yeah, again, it just Sportsnet.
But I get Sportsnet through a different avenue, but I get Sportsnet, so I can watch everything on Sportsnet.
And I'm thankful for everything that they've done, because they cover so many games and they have some great panelists. But change it up, guys. Put some more money into your broadcast, into the visuals, into your personnel, into your settings. Like, it blew them out of the fucking water.
If you're the home of hockey, you better figure it out. Right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I got to double check when that deal expires, but I mean, it gave a lot of people a lot of stuff to think about, and it really opened the eyes of a lot of hockey fans.
It did. It really did.
Yeah.
We're hitting the 41 mark, and I got some questions for you.
Uh-oh.
Can we I just want to get your opinions on a few things.
I got lots of opinions.
Okay, so let's go through it quick. Jerome McGinley Hall of Fame committee. Were you surprised, happy? What were you?
I was happy, and I'm not at all surprised. I mean, who better, right?
Exactly. Outside of the Flames here, a couple things. Darnell Nurse gets blasted last night or Saturday. Ryan Reeves, 5 games, appropriate or inappropriate suspension length.
This is a bit of a tough one because I don't like Reeves. I think he's useless in today's NHL. But
I don't like either guy, so I'm not. It's a non.
Well, yeah, and I don't either. I think Nurse is the most overpaid player in the league, and that's coming from a guy who watches his team with Jonathan Huberdeau. So, but I know, I'm not blaming Huberdeau for that. Just it's a lot of money for the point production. Now, Nurse was extremely negligent by having his head down, coming around the net like that. Like, that's you got to be smarter than that, because I have to believe if his head's up, he's going to see Reeves. He's going to take it in the shoulder. He's going to get leveled, no doubt. But he's not going to get his head taken off.
Leveled with a shoulder impact than a head impact.
Yeah, and I thought it was a little reckless on Reeves' part. I really didn't think it was necessary to try and run him over like that. But at the same time, Nurse is responsible.
He targeted his head. And I'm an old.
So are you with me in terms of splitting some blame here? Is that what I'm understanding?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm such an ass though that I don't know that this doesn't help Edmonton. I can't believe I just said that, but I don't know that this doesn't help Edmonton. But I do believe though that Reeves was way out of line on this one. I mean, I think he could have hit him clean. I also do think that the Darnell, you got to have your head up, right? You just do. Yeah. And he knew that it was coming. Like, he had to have his head up. But I thought it was really bad. I thought it was really negligent. And 5 games to me was 5 shorter than what it should have been.
Wow. Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree. I just find it hard to believe too that a team like Toronto, like, what are they getting by dressing that guy?
And they're not getting nothing. I don't know. He's so outdated though. He's not, and I'm the old school guy you're ever going to have, but you don't need a guy like that. Yeah. You just don't need a guy like that in today's day and age. He can't play.
No, and I don't think so either. And it's like, there's so many other guys who could have that lineup spot. And I guess now somebody's going to have to occupy it at least for 5 games, right?
Yeah. I'm a little bit more WHL guy just because of my proximity.
Yes.
You're more of a Q and O. Fill me in on this OHL here, and what are they doing? Landon Sim gets suspended for 5 games for calling a player a Mennonite. 5 games?
I didn't actually hear that.
I read this and I thought at first I saw it on X and I'm like, this is a joke, right? And then I went into it a little further, and I'm not just talking about this today because I know we're living in a little bit different world right now. But I'm kind of piggybacking off of what happened last year when the player was suspended. The one guy said he was going to kill the guy, and the other guy called him a derogatory name, and the guy that called him a derogatory name got suspended, but the guy who said he was going to kill him didn't get suspended. So I'm wondering, like, what is the OHL doing? Do you know?
I'm just reading about it now. OHL found Sim contravening the league's code of conduct intended to provoke an opposing player that was marginalizing on both religious and cultural grounds. Well,
I mean, I'm not saying it's right to bring it. I mean, like, I don't think you go down any religious or racial areas anymore. I think it's
no. It's irrelevant, kind of a stupid comment, because like in Ontario, there's a pretty large Mennonite population. Like,
so I don't understand why he goes there, but like,
I guess to me, it's like, you know, trying to weaponize the word and use it as an insult. Where I'm more like, what the hell are you doing? That's not even funny. And who cares, even if he was a Mennonite? Like
I don't know.
I'm not sure what to do with this. It's just weird.
It's just weird. Like, why is this being addressed by the league? Like, send your.
Like you said, all I can figure is they don't want it to become well, they may have drawn more attention to it in a negative way than they intended. Yeah, like
this might be. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know.
Stupid thing to call somebody. Like, who?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Huh.
Where do we go this week? Tuesday. The Islanders come to town. We're in a normal schedule this week. We got a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Holy shit.
Well, it's kind of weird to me. Like, I thought we were actually traveling to New York State because we got the Islanders at home and then we got the Rangers at home. But it almost looks like we'd be traveling to those cities, but we're not.
So Tuesday night, the Islanders come to town. The Islanders are 7-4 now, fourth in the Metro. The Rangers come Thursday night, and then on Saturday, the beautiful day game. I love it. I can't wait. Minnesota comes to town. And yeah, it'll get blacked out in my area because I'm so close to Minnesota and Calgary. It's ridiculous. But
sense.
Yeah.
What are you doing for goalie starts? Who you got for those 3 games?
You know, it's pretty simple, and maybe you'll argue with me. I go Wolf on Tuesday, I go Vladar Thursday, and I go Wolf on Saturday.
See, I go Vladar against the Islanders, and I want Wolf against Shesterkin and the Rangers, and against Kaprizov in the Wild.
Okay,
but I don't think there's a wrong answer because both goalies have been good, and I want to be clear about that. Wolf has been a superstar of late. The only thing that concerns me about that lengthy break from Friday to Tuesday is they might have had too much time off, because you know what momentum's like in hockey. Mm-hmm. It's great to heal up from a few bruises and get a couple practices in, but I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. That stuff, you know. You know what's nice is I'm not going to be like, oh no, either way, right? It's a good
it's a great problem to have. And then look at Devin Cooley again, just destroying the AHL. I mean,
there is some good. I was Mr. Negative last week. There is a lot of good. We just got to figure this freaking power play penalty kill out. Holy cow.
Yeah, and hopefully the guys, like Kadri, find their game, because that could solve those problems, and it could solve a lot of others. But hey, you know what? The games are competitive. I never thought the season was going to go. I wanted to believe it would go this well, but I don't think I ever truly believed it. And now it's like, all right, well, we've proven me wrong so far. Hopefully they continue to do so.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. Good fun, and this week's going to be a real fun week. I like it when we get the New York teams. For some reason, when we play the Rangers, it's always a good game. It's always a fun and entertaining game. So, looking forward to that. Next week, looks like if the schedules work out, we'd like to record on a Sunday because the Flames play Monday night. So we'll see if that all works out. So we'll have a new show hopefully Monday morning for you. We'll break down that American Thanksgiving playoff marker, which is proven to be pretty good. If you're in a playoff race, you stay in a playoff race, we'll see exactly where the Flames will be, but it should be a fun week of hockey coming.
Can't wait.
Be good. All right, Flames fans, enjoy your week. Check back next week, and more Flames hockey talk each and every week with Flames Unfiltered.
Thanks for listening to Flames Unfiltered with Brad Burud and Kyle Lewis, your source for unfiltered Calgary Flames hockey talk. Keep it locked on flamesunfiltered.ca. Subscribe where you get all your podcasts to never miss an episode. Flames hockey talk every week, presented by Inside Edge Hockey Media Group.